Okay, so have you heard about this new Bong Jun-ho film?
You mean Mickey 17?
Yeah, Mickey 17. This sci-fi film where the main character dies a lot,
Oh, yeah.
but comes back.
I've heard about it, yeah.
It's like right away you're thinking, okay, this is going to be some dark humor
Yeah.
mixed with something that's like really thought-provoking.
Absolutely. I mean, the premise itself poses so many questions about, like, identity, right?
Oh, yeah,
If death isn't the end, then what does that mean for our self? Like,
totally. And then you've got Bong Joon-ho at the helm. This is the guy who brought us Parasite,
oh, yeah, he's amazing.
which was this like genre-bending masterpiece that totally blew everyone away and, made history at the Oscars.
Exactly.
He's a director who just constantly surprises us.
For sure.
So, I was looking into his background a little bit, and it's interesting. He was born in South Korea on September 14th, 1969,
Okay.
and he studied sociology first,
Oh,
and
wow.
then he went to film school.
Interesting.
And I think what's really cool is that he comes from this like really creative family.
Uh,
His dad was a graphic designer, and his grandfather was a novelist.
Huh.
And you can almost see those influences, like the artistic sensibility and that sharp observation of society kind of woven into his work.
Yeah, that sociological background is key for understanding his films, right?
For sure.
It's not just about telling a story, it's about analyzing society, looking at those power dynamics, and how people navigate those structures.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
Mickey 17 is actually his first film since Parasite, which came out way back in early 2020.
Wow, has it really been that long?
Yeah, so it's been a 5-year gap, and he actually wrote the screenplay during the pandemic.
Oh, wow, during lockdown.
Yeah, and here's another interesting thing. Robert Pattinson got the casting offer for this film from Plan B.
Okay.
And apparently Jeremy Kleiner, who's one of the producers, described the part as impossible.
Wow.
And Pattinson's first meeting with Bong Joon-ho was apparently hilarious.
That's great, but also, like, what does that even tell us?
Right, they're keeping the plot details super hush-hush.
There's always so much intrigue surrounding his projects. It's part of what makes them so captivating.
It's true. I mean, for an actor like Robert Pattinson to be drawn in by this kind of cryptic offer suggests that there's something really special going on, something worth paying attention to.
Definitely.
So for this deep dive, we're going to kind of trace the journey that led Bong Joon-ho to Mickey 17.
Okay, I like it.
What are those key elements from his background, his previous films, that make this new movie so highly anticipated? We'll explore how he's evolved as a filmmaker and share some insights from both him and Pattinson about the making of this film.
I think that's crucial for understanding any director's work,
That's
right?
totally.
To see how their past films inform their current projects. It's like their filmography is an ongoing dialogue with the audience and with cinema itself.
Absolutely. So let's rewind a bit and talk about those early days and how his unique style developed.
Okay, let's do it.
So during his sociology studies back in the late 1980s, South Korea was going through this period of intense political upheaval.
Right, a lot of student protests and demonstrations.
Exactly. And Bong Joon-ho was actually actively involved in those demonstrations.
Wow, so he was right there in the thick of it.
He was. And I think that kind of environment had to have shaped his perspective on social issues,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, absolutely. Experiencing that fight for social change firsthand must have given him this deep understanding of power imbalances and injustices.
Right. And these themes consistently come up in his films.
They really do.
It's like they're woven into the fabric of his storytelling.
Yeah, it's something for you as a viewer to always keep in mind when watching his films.
Exactly. And then we have his early work, right?
Okay, so we're talking like his short films and then his first feature film.
Yeah. So his first feature was Barking Dogs Never Bite, and it came out in 2000.
Okay.
It wasn't a huge box office success at the time,
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
but it's gained a kind of cult following over the years.
Oh, interesting.
And even in that early film, you could see his talent for blending genres.
Oh, yeah.
And that dark comedic edge was already starting to emerge.
I love that about his work.
Me too. And what's so interesting is that even in a debut that wasn't commercially successful, you can see the early signs of his distinct voice, you know?
Right, he wasn't afraid to experiment even then.
Yeah, exactly. That willingness to blend tones, to tackle unconventional subjects, it's a key characteristic that we see throughout his career.
It's like he was already finding his voice back then.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And then his real breakthrough came with Memories of Murder in 2003.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
Right. It's based on these real unsolved serial murders in South Korea.
It's such a chilling and brilliant film.
And it was a huge hit in South Korea. It sold over 5 million tickets.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
And that film really solidified his reputation as a director who could weave together suspense with this dark humor and social critique
Hmm.
in a way that just totally captivated audiences.
That's something he does so well. He can take a really serious and disturbing topic and infuse it with moments of unexpected humor.
Yeah, it's not that he's making light of the situation,
No, not at all.
but it's more like he's reflecting the absurdity and the often contradictory nature of life, even in the face of tragedy.
It makes the experience of watching his films so much more complex and thought-provoking.
It does. And then we have The Host, which came out in 2006.
Yes. The Host was amazing.
It's a monster movie, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a creature feature, but with so much more to it.
Exactly. It's not just your typical monster flick. It also had this really sharp commentary on government incompetence, on environmental issues, even the American military presence in South Korea.
It was a monster movie with real bite.
It was, and it became the highest-grossing South Korean film at the time. It earned over $13 million.
That's impressive.
And it really showed that Bong Joon-ho could operate within a popular genre,
Right, a monster movie.
but still deliver this really potent layer of social and political commentary.
And that's what makes him so unique as a filmmaker.
Totally.
It's like he's playing with our expectations of what a genre film can be.
Exactly. And it's always done in such a masterful way.
For sure.
And before we move on to Parasite, we should touch on some of his other films that he made between The Host and Parasite.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
So there was Mother in 2009, which is this incredibly intense and emotionally complex thriller that explored maternal love and societal prejudices.
Oh, yeah. Mother was so powerful.
It was. And then there was Snowpiercer in 2013, which was his English language debut.
Oh, yeah, that was the one set on the train, right?
Exactly. This
Right.
visually stunning sci-fi story about class warfare that takes place entirely on this train that's perpetually circling the globe.
Such a cool concept.
I know. And then there was Okja in 2017, which is that Netflix film that really sparked a lot of conversation.
Yeah, I remember that one.
It was this really interesting blend of adventure drama and satire.
It was about a girl and her genetically modified super pig, right?
Yeah, and it examined animal rights and corporate greed.
Yeah.
And it even sparked a whole debate about film distribution and the role of streaming services.
That's right, because it premiered at Cannes, and there was some controversy surrounding that.
Exactly. So all of these films, even though they tell very different stories, they really showcase Bong Joon-ho's continuous evolution as a filmmaker.
They do.
He's someone who's not afraid to experiment with genre, and he consistently finds ways to engage with really relevant social issues.
Yeah, and he does it through these really compelling personal narratives.
Right. It's never just about the big ideas. It's always grounded in these human stories.
Exactly, and that's what makes his film so resonant.
Okay, so then we come to Parasite in 2019.
Parasite, a true masterpiece.
I mean, what can you even say about this
It
film?
was a phenomenon.
It really was. It made history. It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, the first Korean film to ever do so.
And then it went on to win 4 Oscars.
4 Oscars, including Best Picture, which was another first for non-English language films.
It had a huge cultural moment.
It really was, and the global box office was incredible. Over $258 million.
Wow.
It brought Ramdon into the cultural lexicon.
Yeah, everyone was trying to make Ramdon.
I know, it's amazing. And I think Parasite's success really highlights the universal appeal of Bong Joon-ho's storytelling.
It does. It shows that he's able to connect with audiences on a global level.
Yeah, he took those themes that he'd been exploring throughout his career,
Yeah.
Class inequality, capitalism, the struggle for survival,
Right.
and he presented them in a way that resonated with people all over the world.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just the themes, it was the way he presented them.
Right, the tone, the pacing, the humor,
Yeah.
the suspense, it was all perfectly balanced.
He's a master storyteller.
He is, so looking back at his whole filmography, what would you say are the common threads, the things that define Bong Joon-ho's style as a director and the themes he keeps coming back to?
I think the most prominent aspect of his style is that genre bending. He seamlessly blends thriller elements with horror, with comedy, with drama,
Yeah, he does it all.
and always with that underlying social commentary. He's incredibly skilled at shifting the tone, sometimes even within the same scene.
Right, you never know what to expect.
It keeps you on the edge of your seat, and it creates this unique, often unsettling viewing experience.
It's true, he keeps you guessing.
And if you think about it, it's like he's taking these familiar genre elements and kind of twisting them to reveal deeper societal truths, but in these unexpected ways.
It's like he's subverting your expectations.
Exactly. And then there are the recurring themes, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Class struggle seems to be a constant in his work,
It does.
along with a critique of authority, these intricate family dynamics, and the sense of absurdity that we find in everyday life.
It's like he's showing us the humor and the tragedy of the human condition.
He is, and visually, he has certain motifs that appear repeatedly in his films.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Well, staircases and basements, for example, they often function as symbols of social mobility or the lack thereof.
That's true. I hadn't really thought about that, but you're right.
And he's a very meticulous visual storyteller. He often uses detailed storyboards to plan out his shots.
He's very deliberate with his choices.
He is, and it shows in the final product.
Absolutely. And he also has this core group of actors that he works with.
Oh yeah, like Song Kang-ho.
Yes, Song Kang-ho, who's been in so many of his films. He's incredible.
He is an amazing actor.
And that ongoing collaboration must be such a key part of his process,
I think it is for any director to have those strong relationships with actors,
Yeah.
There's a shared understanding and a trust that develops and that allows for these really nuanced and powerful performances.
It definitely elevates the storytelling.
It does.
And, it's so interesting to hear Bong Jun-ho talk about his creative process.
Oh, yeah, what does he say?
Well, he's said that his ideas often start with these very personal, almost random images or characters, and then they kind of snowball and gain momentum as he works on them.
I love that image of a snowball rolling downhill.
It's a good one, right?
It really captures how these initial ideas that might seem simple or random at first gather complexity and depth as he develops them.
Totally. And
Yeah.
he's also mentioned that he prefers to write in cafes to avoid distractions at home.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it suggests that he needs to be kind of immersed in his own thoughts, but also connected to the world around him for inspiration.
That makes sense.
And I remember reading this story about him visiting a massive slaughterhouse in Colorado while he was writing Okja.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that experience really changed his perspective.
Really?
Yeah. It apparently even led him to try vegetarianism for a while.
Wow. That's powerful.
It shows how deeply he engages with the subjects he explores.
And not just theoretical for him.
It's visceral. And I think that kind of real world engagement really informs his filmmaking.
It definitely adds a layer of authenticity to his work.
And another thing he's talked about is how he blends humor and seriousness in his films.
Yeah, that's one of his trademarks.
And he said that it often happens organically, not through some calculated formula.
So it's not that he's sitting there thinking, okay, I need to add a joke here.
No, it's more like it emerges naturally from the characters and the situations.
I think it comes from this inherent difficulty he has with settling into just one tone,
That's interesting.
It's like he's always embracing the complexities of life, the fact that humor and tragedy often coexist.
And that's what makes his films so unpredictable and engaging.
They keep you guessing.
They do. And here's another interesting tidbit about his background.
Okay, what's that?
Growing up, he watched a lot of American films on military television.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and those channels didn't have the same censorship as Korean broadcasting at the time.
So he was exposed to a wider range of films.
Exactly. And I think that early exposure to all these different kinds of stories had to have been influential.
Oh, absolutely. It broadened his cinematic horizons.
Right. And it probably exposed him to all these different narrative styles and thematic explorations that he might not have otherwise encountered.
Yeah, it's like he had this secret window into another world of cinema.
It's true. So that gives us a pretty good overview of Bong Joon-ho's journey as a filmmaker, wouldn't you say?
I think so. Yeah, it's really fascinating to see how his experiences and influences have shaped his work.
So now let's shift gears and dive into his latest project, Mickey 17.
Okay, let's talk about Mickey 17.
So the original novel that this film is based on is called Mickey 7.
Okay.
But Bong Joon-ho changed the title to Mickey 17.
That's interesting.
And that simple change seems significant, don't you think?
Yeah, it does. It makes you wonder why he made that choice.
Right. It suggests that he's maybe going for a deeper exploration of Mickey's deaths and resurrections.
It's not just about the 7th time he dies.
No, it's about the whole cycle, the cumulative impact of all those deaths.
And he also said something about specifically choosing 17 and 18 to represent that transition from teenager to adult.
Right. He called it the border of the adult world.
It's like he's using those numbers to explore the idea of growing up, of becoming who you are in the face of all these challenges.
Exactly. And then you have Robert Pattinson playing Mickey.
Right, and he's playing multiple versions of Mickey.
Yeah, initially it was thought that he might play up to 17 versions of the character.
Wow.
But it seems like the focus is really on Mickey 17 and Mickey 18.
That's still a lot to juggle as an actor.
It's this incredible acting challenge to portray these different iterations of the same character.
Yeah, because they're physically identical, but their experiences and their personalities have made them fundamentally different.
And it really makes you think about how trauma and repeated experiences can shape a person's identity.
Absolutely. It's like Each death and resurrection changes him a little bit.
Right. And we're starting to get a glimpse of the key differences between Mickey 17 and Mickey 18.
Okay, fill me in.
So Mickey 17 is described as more passive, fearful, full of doubt and shame,
Okay.
while Mickey 18 is more active, fearless, shameless, and unpredictable.
Wow, that's quite a contrast.
Yeah, Pattinson even used the words weird and crazy to describe Mickey 18.
So it's like they're two sides of the same coin.
They are, and it creates this really interesting dynamic because on the surface, they look the same.
Right, but underneath, they're completely different people.
And that's where the real drama lies, you know?
It is. It makes you question how well we can ever really know another person.
And Pattinson said that when he first read the script, he was quite shocked.
I can imagine.
And he immediately wondered how he was going to pull it off, playing these two seemingly identical but totally different characters that the other characters in the film can't even tell apart.
Yeah, that's a mind-bending concept.
It is, and it really plays with our perceptions as viewers, too.
It does.
Because we're constantly trying to figure out which Mickey we're seeing at any given moment.
And that keeps us engaged and makes us question what we're seeing.
Exactly, and they actually experimented with physical differences to help distinguish the characters.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like subtle changes to their cheeks or their ears.
Interesting.
But it sounds like they ultimately decided to go for a more nuanced approach.
Yeah, relying more on Pattinson's performance to convey the differences.
Exactly. And Pattinson has said that the filming process was really fun and experimental,
That's good to hear.
and that Bong Jun-ho was very clear with his direction for each moment.
So there's a good sense of collaboration.
It seems like it, and Pattinson even called Mickey 17 a pitiful and pathetic character.
Huh. That's an interesting choice of words.
It is, and he even made this really interesting comparison between an actor's job and Mickey's job.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, he hinted at this idea of immortality through their on-screen presence.
Oh, wow. That's pretty deep.
It's like he's saying that even though an actor might play many different roles over their career, there's a part of them that lives on in those performances.
And that's similar to Mickey, who dies and comes back over and over again.
Exactly. And from Bong Joon-ho's perspective, he was really drawn to this idea of a flawed protagonist.
Which is a bit of a departure from the typical sci-fi hero.
It is. Most sci-fi heroes are these, like, flawless superhumans.
Right, they can do no wrong.
But Mickey's different. He makes mistakes. He's vulnerable.
Which makes him more relatable in a way.
It does. And Bong Joon-ho has said that he sees Mickey 17 as Mickey's growth movie.
Oh, interesting.
It's about him regaining his self-esteem through all these trials and tribulations.
So even though he's going through these traumatic experiences, he's still growing and evolving.
Exactly. He's not just a victim of circumstance.
He's an active participant in his own journey.
He is. And I think that's really compelling.
It is.
And Bong Joon-ho also talked about the technical challenges of filming scenes where multiple Mickeys interact.
Oh, yeah, that must have been difficult.
They had to use a lot of VFX to make it look seamless and believable.
Right. You don't want the technology to distract from the story.
Exactly. And it sounds like they pulled it off.
That's good to hear.
Bong Joon-ho has said that he was really impressed with Robert Pattinson's performance,
I'm not surprised.
especially his portrayal of Mickey 18.
Oh, yeah, what did he say about that?
Well, he said that Pattinson's performance really brought something unexpected to the character.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Apparently, Pattinson came up with all these weird cuss words for Mickey 18 to say.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and Bong Joon-ho loved it.
It sounds like they had a lot of fun on set.
It seems like it, and one example of a cuss word that Pattinson came up with was electric snake eel.
Electric snake eel.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty creative.
I know, and these little details, they really add these unexpected layers to the character.
It's those little touches that make a performance memorable.
Totally. And it sounds like those earlier versions of Mickey from 1 to 16 are mostly conveyed through Mickey's voiceover.
So they're not physically present in the film?
It doesn't seem like it,
Okay.
which really puts the focus on Mickey 17 and Mickey 18.
They're a heart of the story.
They are, and so we come to the potential themes of Mickey 17.
Okay, what can we expect?
Well, based on what we've heard from Bong Joon-ho and Robert Pattinson, it seems like the film will explore themes of expendability.
Mickey's extreme job of dying repeatedly.
Exactly. Identity, the nature of self, in a world where death isn't permanent.
Right.
And of course, that dark humor that Bong Joon-ho is known for.
It wouldn't be a Bong Joon-ho film without it.
And he even mentioned that it touches on classism in space.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. which is a recurring theme in his work.
It is. He's always exploring those power
He
dynamics.
is, and I think these themes are particularly resonant given the film's premise.
They are, in a world where you can be brought back to life after you die, how does that change our understanding of human value?
Right. What does it mean to be expendable when death is no longer the end?
Exactly. And how do we define ourselves when our experiences can be literally wiped clean and then rewritten?
It's these really big questions about the nature of self and the meaning of life.
And I think Bong Joon-ho is the perfect director to tackle these questions.
He's not afraid to challenge our assumptions and make us think about these things in new ways.
And I'm sure he'll do it in a way that's both entertaining and thought-provoking.
Absolutely. So, to recap, we've taken a deep dive into Bong Joon-ho's career, looking at his influences, his stylistic trademarks, and his recurring themes.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has, and now we have this incredibly intriguing new project, Mickey 17, with its unique premise and the challenges that Robert Pattinson faced in bringing these multiple characters to life.
And it's a testament to Bong Joon-ho's vision and talent that he can attract actors like Pattinson to these kinds of projects.
It is. He's a visionary filmmaker.
He is.
And Mickey 17 is shaping up to be another one of his masterpieces.
I think so, too.
It's a film that promises to be both visually stunning and intellectually stimulating.
It's going to be a wild ride.
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final question to consider.
Okay, baby.
In a world where resurrection is possible, what does it truly mean to be human?
That's a big one.
It is, how does our understanding of value, both of ourselves and of others, change when death loses its finality?
It's something to think about.
It is. So keep that question in mind as you look forward to the release of Mickey 17.
I will!
And maybe even revisit some of Bong Joon-ho's earlier films with this new perspective in mind.
That's a great idea. I think I'm going to rewatch Parasite tonight.
I might just do the same.
It's the kind of film that you can watch multiple times and still discover new things.
It's true. Bong Joon-ho's films, they stay with you long after you've seen them.
They do, and I think Mickey 17 is going to be no different.
I have a feeling you're right.